From what I noticed from the fandom and Chapter 4, there is an overwhelming amount of people who put sole blame on Kokichi. While I do agree he definitely served his part in the events, he's not alone. Miu is one of my favorite characters, but she plays a huge role along with Gonta. Let's start with Miu, shall we? Her plan, I believe, actually started in Chapter 3. Not her exact one, but realizing the reality of what she could do. 3 to 5 free time events you find Miu in the computer room, in Chapter 3, which continues on in Chapter 4. It's clear she spent a while thinking about her plan. First, we need to address the motive. Obviously, getting out is a huge one, especially since Miu was under the impression her intellect should push her to the survivor list, as the world needed her inventions. But I also believe Miu was getting scared and withdrew from the others. When you talk to her during her time in the computer room, she's very snappy. And she's even shut herself off from Kibo, who was one of the closest people she had. Miu is a great example of showing paranoia of being in that environment. She has already seen multiple people die unexpectedly. And if you think about it, she didn't have great relationships with the other characters. Most didn't even really have deep reactions to her death. Sure, they were sad, but they weren't that close. If she thought about it logically, she would likely be a victim. Ironically, she ended up being one due to her own actions. Here's where the first problem comes in. People often forget Miu was planning a murder. Yes, she ended up being the victim, but that doesn't take away from the fact she was ready to kill. Her role in these events cannot be denied. She shares 1/3 of the blame. It's obvious why Kokichi shares 1/3 of the blame as well. He planned the murder of Miu, and instructed Gonta to carry it out. I believe why he gets more blame than the other two is a few reasons. 1, he didn't tell anyone about Miu's murder plan, or try to stop it another way. Let's bring up paranoia again, because Kokichi was clearly a paranoid character. You can tell easily by his room. He collected everything from the crime scenes, wrote notes about everyone, came up with theories and inventions to get out. He spent every waking moment on trying to figure out who he could trust. I hear people asking about Soichi now. Why didn't Kokichi talk to him? Well, he didn't even fully trust Soichi either. You have to recall he wrote trustworthy with a question mark. And if that's how he felt about Soichi, how do you think he felt about Maki or Kaido? The only one I think he truly trusted was Gonta, hence him being the one who helped him. 2, Kokichi exposing Gonta as the Blacken, because he got upset Soichi lied. Now I can't really defend him here. I'll be honest, yeah, that was pretty messed up, but I think it's really twisted people's view on the situation. Despite it being screwed up, Kokichi did this after the murder. What he did after does not take away from Miu and Gonta's involvement. 3, how Kokichi acted after Gonta's punishment. Now I can't go into depth on this point as it treads headcanon territory. I prefer to stick to canon points instead of relying on my own opinions. But I will share a small piece. Keep in mind, you could see it differently. I believe Kokichi was lying about not caring about Gonta. He was actually deeply upset, but as he says, a good liar must lie to themselves as well, which is what he has been doing the whole killing game. I believe it's his coping mechanism to get over what transpired, which is why he put his plan into motion after Chapter 4. Losing Gonta was his last straw. Now, just because it's his coping mechanism does not make his actions okay. I'm not defending that. I'm simply arguing he shouldn't be held accountable for Chapter 4's events solely by himself. The last piece of the puzzle, Gonta. Gonta might be a little slow, due to being raised outside of our civilization, but he is no means a baby. He is still intelligent and understands his own actions. Kokichi did not physically force him to kill Miu. He shared the secret of the outside world, and Gonta decided to help Kokichi murder Miu. I believe people get upset about this, because Kokichi suspected the secret of the outside world was wrong, and he still used it against Gonta. But all Kokichi did was share the information he had with Gonta, and Gonta, a capable person, made his own decision to go through with the plan. I do believe Gonta is a sweet gentleman, but I also think if we are to hold Miu and Kokichi accountable for their actions, Gonta deserves to be as well. In the end, the problems with people's view on Chapter 4 is the blame isn't divided evenly by all who were involved. Miu who triggered the events by planning Kokichi's murder, Kokichi who planned out Miu's murder in return, and Gonta who carried out the plan.